Hey everyone, Phoenix here. Today we are going to be doing the Gauntlet. So on Levistras, you can only bring one full fellowship of 9 players into the Gauntlet. I think that this is the hardest content in the game. It requires 9 people working fully together with the right builds and understanding exactly what they need to be doing. Ton of fun. So basically it is like a more advanced version of Colosseum. There's 12 rooms. Each room has 4 waves that are going to attack you, and you have to kill them to spawn the next wave. The first room is Tumeroks. The first 2 waves are kind of junk. There's hollows, there are skeleton archers, that type of thing. On these first 2 waves, we've been using Slash because this is a rare run, I should say. So our melees and archers are using Blood Drinker rares on their weapons, and Slash is one of the ones that we use, so it makes sense here, and the mobs are generally weak enough to Slash that it works out. When the Tumeroks spawn, we're going to switch to Lightning, or an assault weapon with Lightning. Now the Tumeroks are kind of unique because they have shields, and if you use brittle mail on a shield, it actually can make the AL of the shield negative. So you actually do more damage attacking the Tumeroks from the front with a brittle mailed shield, which is kind of weird. It's not really how you would expect things to work, but I'll suspend my disbelief. So in this room, what we were doing is we have 3 people volning. Our group composition for this run was, I believe, 4 two-handers, 1 archer, 2 life mages, and 2 void mages. And so what I'm doing in this room is, instead of playing a void mage, I'm swinging to life, and we'll have 3 people volning. We split up the volning duties, so we have 1 person doing Imperil, we have 1 person volning, and we have 1 person casting Brittle Mail. So that's what we have found works the best to get the Volns down as quickly as possible. Now, even though the Verindi are probably weaker to Slash than they are Lightning, to save from having to switch weapons, we're also volning the Verindi for Lightning in this room. We're using our Lightning summons for everybody that has summoning. And from what I understand, the melees are just doing insane, and the archers are just doing insane amounts of damage because of the way, you've got Brittle Mail, the weak element, Vuln Imp, and you see the Tumeroks go down pretty quickly. We finished this room in about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And so if you do the math, you have 1 hour to beat Gauntlet. There are 12 rooms. So you have 5 minutes to do every room, and the last room is the one that takes the longest. So the more time you save in the beginning, the more time you're going to have at the end for that really long room. And that's it. Once you finish all 4 waves, a door spawns on the north side of the room, and you just use that to go into the next room. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying for whatever reason. All right, room 2 is Lugians. There's 1 wave of junk similar to the first room. We got some Verindi and some skeletons that go down pretty quickly. In this room, we use Slash weapons. When the Lugians spawn, we're going to switch to lightning weapons, and we have found that lightning critical strike weapons work the best. Even better than armor rending, definitely better than any kind of rend that you could have. So yeah, lightning critical strike. Again, in this room, I am playing life instead of void, because the melees and the archers just do so much damage with the CS that you don't need the void. The void obviously helps, so we have our second void mage, still throwing down DOTs. The Tumeroks, I mean, sorry, the Lugians can be trouble if you get hit by all of their rocks all at once. They are hollow rocks. And we are again vulning the Verindi for lightning also, because they are generally still weak to that, or weak enough to that, that it doesn't make a difference. All right, and then when we finish the room, we're going to go through the door again. Oh, I jumped the gun like I did when I was running this. So there's 4 waves, and it's very easy to get confused mid-run as to what wave you're on. All right, now the door is ready. Room 3 is Wisps. So these are Wisps that cast like cold waves, frost waves. Every wave, all 4 waves in this room have Wisps. We use slash weapons on the Wisps, slash armor rending weapons. Found that those are the best. Now, in this room, you're going to want to make sure that you are dispelling pretty constantly, because if you get hit with more than one of those cold waves at once, you can take a ton of damage. You can see I'm at half health and I'm not even 2-gacking or anything. Typically in rooms where there's one primary monster and there's secondary monsters, like in here there's skeletons on top of the Wisps, we vuln everything for the same element. So again, in here, if there's extra stuff, we're vulning it for slash. It saves the time of having to switch weapons. We're using a lot of two-handers on these runs because we have found that the cleave damage is just incredible. So you'll see a lot of times the two-handers trying to get in position where they can hit multiple wisps or multiple monsters in general at once. And then we're done. Door should spawn. Oh, it's being a little slow. There we go. This is room 4, which is Remorans. There is one wave of junk, like a couple of Lugians, these weird tracking fireballs, and some skeleton archers. The tracking fireballs, I found, if you have void mages, can just kind of use streaks and kill them quickly. That they're not really worth imperiling or vulning. Now the Remorans will spawn. The Remorans are the most deadly room in the Gauntlet. They will vuln you, and then they will chain cast war magic at you. The 4th wave is the most deadly of the waves, and we typically have at least one death in there where all of the Remorans just decide they don't like that person and are all going to try to kill them. In here we use bludge AR weapons. Once again, I am playing life magic instead of void, and you'll see that in here, because we use target HUD to track vulns, and because the Remorans are so big, sometimes it's hard to see the vulns on top of their head. So it's much easier for the life mages to cast both the imp and the vuln in this room. It's just easier to keep track of that way. And there we go. The giant spawn. You'll see that kind of my strategy when they spawn is to just run sideways. In case I'm the one they decide needs to die. That way I would dodge those initial wars. And you can see my health gets pretty low in here, and I'm kind of running for my life. So it's not a joke. Oh, there goes Joneseh. Now we're in room 5. This is a short room, and it's interesting because your fellowship gets split into 2 groups, and a bunch of these Grievers will spawn. You'll see initially they're all black. They're called Pike Grievers, and when you kill one, 2 golden Grievers spawn in their place. However, you don't have to kill any of the gold ones. So you just have to kill 4 Pike Grievers in order to move on to the next room. This room only takes about a minute in comparison to some of the other rooms. In here, we typically use Slash. It kind of depends on how your group gets split, though, how you approach the room. Room 6 is Shadows. So pretty much everybody should be switching to Shadow Slaying Wands and Two-Gacking. We actually send one of our two-handers out at this point to grab rared weapons for the other two-handers. You can see I had a double Two-Gack there where I thought I healed and didn't. There are also Verindi in this room. Typically, we just finish off the Verindi by 2-gacking also. If they don't cooperate and they just stand still and cast spells, we will Vuln them and have the two-handers switch back to like /AR weapons to finish them off. All right, the next room is coming up. This is room 7, which is the Guruks. Now, in this room, you're going to... It's actually Guruks and Mukir, but the time-limiting factor in this room is the Guruks. So everyone should have a Brun Slaying Wand and just be 2-gacking the entire time. You'll see in this room, I am playing Void again because the DOTs add so much damage to the Guruks and the Rook that you have to have it. We are stacking in this room to try to get the most effect out of the 2-gacking. Now the second wave, we start to see the big Guruk spawn. We are going to stack on the back end of them because when you are behind them, you can hit with 3 2-gack bolts at the same time. Our stack gets a little bit messed up here because the Mukir are fighting summons, but eventually we do get them over to us. So again, once again, I'm going to be using DOTs. It adds so much damage to the 2-gacks. I'm kind of rotating between throwing out DOTs and 2-gacking to deal damage. All right, this is the third wave, more Guruk. Now this wave, a second Guruk spawns like halfway through. And you can see I forgot to use my Luminance gem, so I'm rectifying that situation. All right, and there's the second Guruk. So what we're actually gonna do is slide in between them so that we are 2-gacking both at once. I'm still throwing out DOTs. One thing to note about the Guruks is they are life immune, so you can't... I believe they're life immune, or they just have really high magic D. I'm not 100% sure. So, no, I'm pretty sure they're life immune because you can't use Destructive Curse on any of the Rooks or the Guruks. You can use Alchemy to vuln them, but we've found that two-gacking is just a much more efficient way to kill them. So this spawn position saved us a ton of time in this room. And then we're going to move to the back of the remaining Guruk once again to try to get the most out of our two-gacks. Here's the fourth and final wave. We once again got pretty lucky with the spawn position. We can stack right in between all of them and just start going to town with the two-gacks. Alright, that's it for room 7 after we clean up the last couple of skeletons. Room 8 is Althoi. So it's 4 waves including the Althoi. There's no trash wave in this room. In this room, I'm going to be playing Void still and throwing DOTs on the Althoi while everybody else, for the most part, two-gacks, I believe. We have some two-hand, or at least one two-hand who doesn't have life magic, who is still going to be attacking with Bludge AR, but two-gack with an Althoi Slayer wand, either the Salondoi from Garland, I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, or the wand, the life magic wand from Paradox Althoi Queen also works. And that's it. Once we clean up this last Verindy, that's the end of room 8. We'll be heading into room 9, which is Tuskers. So actually what I'm going to be doing in between these rooms is I pop out and I reapply Spirit Drinker on my wand so that I have it for the rest of the fight. And the second Void Mage is going to do it after this room. So these are Tuskers. We missed the first wave, which is a bunch of the little throwers that you can actually see here. But the second through fourth waves have these defensive crystals, which are immune to life magic. They can be dotted with Void, so Void is super important in this room. And 1 big Tusker on the second wave, 2 big Tuskers on the third wave, and 4 big Tuskers on the final wave. This room, it is pretty important to have the Tusker Paw wand from the Dark Bobo quest. That wand has a 4x Slayer property, which just does insane amounts of damage. Our general strategy in this room is try to stack on one of the crystals so that the two-handers can cleave from the crystal to the large Tuskers. Our positioning doesn't always work out great because the little Tusky thrower things kind of get in the way of the big Tuskers and can kind of keep them from going where we want them to go. But generally, that is the strategy. All right, we're down to our last couple of Tuskers, finishing up room 9. The DOTs are so important on these big Tuskers. They add so much damage. All right, we're heading into room 10, which is the Armadillos. Now you can see in this room at the beginning, there's only 3 of us in the room because all of our DPS and the second Void Mage go out to reapply Blood Drinker to their slash weapons and to pick up Acid Blood Drinker weapons for the last room. So it actually gives us a good opportunity because the Dillos are super hard to vuln. This is where we use some custom content. As you know from my other videos, Levistras has custom content. And one of the quests is a way to get rare crystals that are not blocked from going into Gauntlet. They're called infused rares. So what we do is we get a creature infused rare, and Herz is using that here to magic yield the armadillos so that it's easier to vuln. I didn't realize that my Spectral Life Rare had fallen off, so I am trying to vuln at a time when it would basically be impossible. They have insane magic D. It's like 750 something, and you can see my life magic skill is 755, so I'm about 50% on landing. Yeah, once again, I'm flexing to life magic in this room to help vuln. It's super important. They make all the difference in the world. The other thing that we've learned about this room is that two-handers and archers should be attacking low. That is where you will deal the most damage. There's supposed to be some kind of like front shield effect with the Dillos. I'm not sure if it's working properly on the emulator. We haven't found that attacking from the back makes that much of a difference, and we've kind of changed our strategy around a bunch in this room, but now we don't try to attack them from the back. It's just easier to get them imped and vulned and attack low. Now on this last wave, you do have to be careful with all these Verendi. They can definitely kill you if you're not careful, so you want to be dispelling and watching your health. But otherwise, we just try to vuln them to slash and cleave to kill them along with the Dillos. that's it. We finished room 10, going into room 11. Last two rooms. This room is Wights, so Fire AR Undead Slayer for melees and archers, or an Undead Slayer for 2-gacking is also useful. I'm going to still be using DOTs in this room. For whatever reason, I'm not sure if it's a bug or not, but the second wave only has a few Wights. So it's a little reprieve from the other waves. Wave 3 in here is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. You have Wights spawning, but then in a little bit, shadows will start to spawn, along with some other monsters. And then wave 4 is just kind of insane, where it's just kind of like, I don't know, Paca called it the kitchen sink, which I think is the appropriate way to term it. So once again, I'm throwing DOTs, and then you'll see later on in this wave, I'll switch and start doing 2-gacs. So here is that fourth kitchen sink wave. You'll see there's Lugians, there's armadillos, there's shadows, there's Wights. So our kill priority here typically has been kill the Lugians because the hollow rocks can kill you, then go to the Wights because the white cold waves can kill you, while the mages try to land vulns on the Dillos. Now, thankfully, those infused rares that I mentioned earlier have the full 15-minute timer. They're longer than the spectral rares, so we can still get magic yield on the Dillos to help with the vulns. Once we clean up all those harder monsters, we'll go back to dotting and, trying to 2-gac or clean up the Wights and the shadows. Yeah, so you can see now that we're down at the end, we're just, at least I'm just starting to 2-gac because the shadows, really that's the best way to kill them. They're super resistant to any kind of melee or missile damage. Last couple things, and we head into the final room. Room 12 is Gear Knights in the first 3 waves until you get to room 12, which is again a kitchen sink wave. In this room, we are using Blood Drinkered Acid AR weapons. Once again, I am flexing to life magic to get the vulns down as fast as possible. And then once the vulns are down, I will switch back to throwing DOTs to increase our damage. Wave 2, the Gear Knights spawn like the first wave, but then a second sub-wave spawns with higher health Gear Knights. So what we typically try to do is switch to the highest health monsters, or the new high health Gear Knights, there they go, because the cleave should kill the lower health stuff. Wave 3 is those second, I call them the medium health Gear Knights to start, and then what's going to happen is Blade Champions, or the highest health Gear Knights, are going to spawn. There they are. They're those dark gray ones. So once again, once those spawn, we try to get them vulned as quickly as possible, and then target them once again so the cleave can kill the lower health ones. And the final wave of Gauntlet So this wave is a kitchen sink wave. The first thing we try to do is target the Remorans and get them down as quickly as possible because like in room 4, they're most likely to kill somebody. From there, we go to the Blade Champions because that's the next highest health monster. But there's all kinds of fun stuff in here. Tumeroks, Ulthoi, you can see the Guruk, there's a Rook, Gear Knights. We are volting everything for Acid, again, because of our two-handers. Once we get everything volted up, we will I'll start doing DOTs again, and our other Void Mage Mizuda is doing DOTs now. And then the mages can start 2-gacking to try to kill the Guruks. And yeah, we're down to the last couple minutes. We ended up finishing this run with about 5 minutes to spare, which is great. We brought along 3 people who hadn't run a rare run of Gauntlet before, which was really nice. We got some people a win. I ended up getting my brown locket, which I'm super hyped on. And yeah, this was just awesome. I really love doing Gauntlet. It's like one of the things where you have to work together as a team. You need 9 people, all on the same page, all communicating well in Discord voice chat. Just really fun content. I'm glad we've gotten some more people involved. So hopefully we can get some more wins going forward. I can get that 10th win in that Society recall. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed some Gauntlet content with the commentary on top, just to know what to expect if you end up running it. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please press that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.